20 episodes in, no fancy production, just me, my microphone, and the decision that I made to show up consistently for 20 episodes in a row. And to some of y'all, that might not seem like a lot, but I do this show entirely by myself, from the scripting to the research to the editing, posting, designing the thumbnails, everything. So for me, this is a win. But we're not here to talk about me, actually. I used to think that confidence was something that you acquired before starting that thing. I used to think it was something that you either had or you didn't. Confidence is not something that you find, it is something that you build quietly, in private, when nobody's watching or applauding. So I thought, what better way to celebrate 20 episodes by talking about the power of consistency and really how it builds our confidence. I want to get into the real shift that happens when you allow yourself to stick to something long enough to become the proof. So you know what time it is. It's time to get comfortable, grab a drink, grab a snack. It's time to tune in and shift with me. Welcome back to the On Some Real Shift podcast, where I have real conversations on what it takes to shift your mindset and uplevel your emotional and spiritual life. I'm your host, Vanessa. I'm a certified life coach, mindset coach. I do NLP, Reiki, and sound bath healing, but most importantly, I am a student of the universe or the university. Welcome back, friends. Let's talk about the lie that we have kind of been taught. More often than not, people think that confidence comes before the action, but in reality, it shows up when you keep showing up, regardless of the imperfection, regardless of the self-doubt, regardless of the fact that nobody is celebrating you other than you. Truthfully, I am not always consistent. However, I always regret it when I'm not. Just like everybody else, I have seasons where I have abandoned myself, unfortunately. I've abandoned my own ideas before I've allowed them time to grow. But this time, when it comes to this show, I haven't. I didn't. And this has just reinforced what I already know. You know, it wouldn't be an episode of mine if I didn't ask you a question. So I want you to ask yourself, where in your life are you waiting to feel ready rather than just starting messy? What does ready even really mean? When you really think about it, we're constantly waiting for this feeling of motivation, of fear to pass, of feeling ready, right? The problem with that is feelings are not dependable. Feelings are not steady. They ebb and flow. We've talked about it before. Feelings are fleeting. Think about how many times your emotions, how you feel changes in a day, even in an hour, sometimes in a minute. We don't really take the time to take inventory of how we are feeling. And it doesn't even mean that we're necessarily feeling bad, but our feelings change. Our motivation changes. Motivation is just a feeling. I think part of why we get caught up in this thought of consistency and why it seems so overwhelming and so daunting is, number one, sometimes it can be, depending on what you're trying to be consistent with. However, really, I think a lot of us are conflating consistency with perfection. In reality, consistency is reliability. Every time you post, you show up, you speak up, you do that thing that you said that you were going to do, you are depositing into the bank of the person that you want to become. The more we keep the promises that we make to ourselves, the more over time we start to become intolerant of those who don't keep the promises that they say that they're going to keep with us, right? So it really just kind of elevates your standard of operation. And confidence does not have to be loud. Sometimes confidence is just saying, I feel good because I did what I said I was going to do. Let's use this in the context of a workout, because I feel like that's something that a lot of us can relate to. For me, I have been struggling getting consistent again with my workouts. It's just been a thing. I can tell you, every time I have been consistent, I have been fighting my feelings in the moment. I have been fighting motivation or a lack of it every time. But you know what else happens every time? I feel so good after completing the workout. Yes, it's the endorphins, but also it is, I love myself enough to keep the promise I made to myself. Or with the show. There are weeks where I have not felt like doing the show, taping the show, not because I don't enjoy it. I actually love doing the show. It's one of my favorite things, but because I have external demands right now on my time and energy, and sometimes I'm exhausted. And like I said, it's a production. I do it all myself right now. And on those days where I didn't feel like doing it, then I started feeding that narrative a little bit. I started asking myself, well, does this even really matter? Like, who's really going to listen? But somehow I fought through it, right? And every time I dropped an episode, I reminded myself that this platform is not about instant results. It is about becoming who I said I'm becoming. It is about doing what I said I was going to do. And it is also about being an example and safe space for everybody else who is on this vibe. It really is just about becoming somebody that I trust. I think a lot of us downplay the role the self-trust plays in our day-to-day, but I digress. The more consistent you are, the more you start showing up for yourself as yourself, not just for validation. When we are intrinsically motivated, when that push is not because of something or somebody else, but from that desire that we have within ourselves, from that promise that we made to ourselves, from the discipline that we have committed to, consistency is more sustainable. You no longer have to perform because your actions say, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. And when we get into that space, the take it or leave it space, and I don't even mean it in a rude way. I'm just saying when you can show up in a space confident, knowing who you are, what you deserve, what you're about, no matter who agrees or disagrees, that's when your alignment starts to deepen. When you are no longer chasing because you are embodying, because you're being. I'm gonna get real for a moment. I'm not even the same woman that I was in episode 1. I don't get nervous anymore. I am no longer trying to mince my words or be perfect. If you watch the show, you can see a bunch of messed up edits, right? You'll see me kind of looking like I'm glitching because I got too lazy to edit it out. I am comfortable in knowing the value that I am providing and that that is enough. Doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement, but I'm just saying I'm not chasing that perfectionism. And that school of thought can be passed on to anything else that I want to be consistent with. I think a lot of us also get demotivated from being consistent because we don't see instant results. But I'm gonna tell you, if I relied on metrics and instant virality to be my motivation for this podcast, I would have ditched this a long time ago. I have episodes with almost 10,000 views on them, right? I also have episodes with under 10 views. And to be frank, I don't really care. Yes, the goal is to have a consistent and larger platform, but I understand my commitment to the entire journey is going to require for me to be consistent and that I can't get hung up on those metrics to be the push to make me post, to make me stay engaged. So I say all that to say, when you're staying committed to something, find the inner push that is pushing you to do that thing and stick to that. Because the moment our motivation becomes external is the moment we set ourselves up for failure. Now, you know, I like to talk about a good mirroring moment, and consistency becomes a mirror. It exposes everything. And this is the part that most people avoid, which is why they stay stuck. When you start to become consistent, you are battling other inner monologues. And if you're not, you're lucky. But most of us are not only battling the habit or the promise of being consistent, we are battling these voices, these narratives in our minds that we have created and picked up along the way that don't really have validity to them. For instance, your perfectionism, right? That's a big one. I feel like so many of us get stuck on trying to be perfect before we get started, not realizing that the perfection happens in the process. You get better in the process. My episodes flow better in episode 20 than they did in number 1. Why? Because I have gained experience between episode 1 and 20. You're up against your procrastination. And procrastination a lot of times is just coming from fear of not being perfect. Not for everybody, but a lot of us, I'd say. Your lack of consistency can be coming from your inner critic saying that you're not good enough, smart enough, deserving enough, whatever enough. Or a big one is your fear of being seen. And while all of this looks kind of messy and uncomfortable, all of those narratives are actually a gift because it shows you what's still ruling your life. It's not just about the show. You start to think about, oh, well, where is my perfectionism stopping me in other areas of my life from just getting started? What opportunities have I took myself out of the running for because of my fear of being seen? This podcast might just be content for some people, but for me, this has been a healing practice because it has forced me to confront the things that I told myself for so long. It forced me to be about what I'm teaching about. It forced me to continue to embody the type of energy that I'm trying to share with my clients, that I'm trying to share with y'all. I have met so many versions of myself while making this show. The excited one, the confident one, the eager one, the doubtful one, the exhausted one. And I still showed up with her. And again, this is not just to celebrate the show, but I'm proud of 20 episodes. And so I'm going to celebrate it. But it's the reminder that we all deserve to be proud of ourselves and build that inner trust. There's a bit of an identity shift that happens when you start becoming consistent. Inevitably, you start showing up as somebody else if you stay consistent for long enough. The shift is not just in your habits, it is in your identity because you're becoming this person. You go from being somebody who says, I want to be somebody who fill in the blanks to I am somebody who fill in the blanks. And really, this is your higher self in action. No longer are you just aligning to her, you are embodying her. And that is when the real transformation happens. Sometimes I like to think of this in the context of devotion over motivation. And what I mean by that is I didn't make 20 episodes because I was always inspired. I made 20 episodes because I was devoted. Devotion is a spiritual energy. It is the commitment to something without the guarantee of applause. If I only recorded when I felt like it, I would maybe be 5 episodes in. Okay, maybe 10. I don't know. Point is, it would not be anywhere close to 20. Discipline gets you started, but devotion keeps you going when the why isn't loud. Let's touch on a little bit of like emotional residue. And what I mean is there's this residue that builds up from self-abandonment. Every time you flake on your ideas, your dreams, your voice, you lose a little piece of trust in yourself. And again, that trust trickles into so many areas I don't even think that we think about. It trickles into the trust of your decision making, for instance. The trust that you have that you will take care of yourself. But the reverse is also true. Every time you show up when you didn't feel like it, but you said you were going to do it, your system, your nervous system, your body, mind, heart, and spirit, it starts to believe you again. Ask yourself, what would it feel like if you finally started to trust yourself again? What would your life look like? What would you be doing? You know, consistency is not just a practice. It is an act of self-respect. I want people to take that in because I think a lot of times we only think of consistency in the terms of achieving something. I think a lot of times that's what also throws us off, right? Because if we don't feel like we are achieving something, if we are attaching ourselves to the outcome, to some sort of end product, tangible or intangible, it's going to be very easy for you to fall off track and give up. But the real mindset shift is proving to yourself that you are worth the effort. You don't need discipline because you hate yourself. In fact, it's the opposite. You need discipline because you love yourself. You love yourself enough not to abandon yourself when it matters the most. Self-respect is not built in a journal. It is built when you continue to honor yourself. It is built in the moments where you keep going when you want to quit, but you choose to honor the vision anyway. This episode was not about the 20 episodes. The 20 episodes is the proof. I want you to tell yourself you're not becoming confident. Tell yourself that you already are. You're not learning to trust yourself. You are just remembering that you can. And you know, I have another question for you. Ask yourself, where in your life are you quietly becoming the version of yourself that you once hoped for? And clap for yourself. I used to think that I needed more confidence to start, and this whole time I had it wrong. I just needed to start to build my confidence. Consistency did not just give me a podcast. It has given me back my voice. It has given me back my power. And above all, my self-trust. If you have been waiting for a sign to start that thing, post that idea, or just stay the course, this is it. You do not need to be loud to be powerful. You just need to be honest enough and consistent enough to become undeniable, to become unshakable. If you've been consistent with that thing, cheers to you. And if you haven't been, that's okay. You can start now. As always, I appreciate your time and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.